Hi guys, I'm here with another verse of the day. It's found in the book of Ephesians chapter 3 verse 8. Unto me, who am an estimate least of all saints, is this grace given, that it shall preach among the Gentiles unsearchable riches of Christ. People call online pastors a heretic, a cult leader, false prophet, fake minister / pastor. As a human with feelings, of course, those things could really get to them. Imagine people speaking falsely and making absurd allegations about you. But I'm so thankful that God gave us His precious Bible. Every time I'm going through hardships, I feel like I'm dying, I turn to the book of life. Today, reading Ephesians 3, I stumbled across a verse. Apostle Paul is one of the most remarkable figures in Scripture. He preached the gospel boldly, planted churches across the world, and wrote 14 epistles of the New Testament. Yet he was called the ringleader of cults. He should be angry, sad, and even discouraged, but we could see that his heart was full of humbleness and humility. He called himself less than the least of all saints. How could someone so impactful think of himself this way? Paul understood the magnitude of God's grace. He never forgot who he was before encountering Jesus. He was a persecutor of Christians and murderer, but he also fully embraced who he became through Jesus, a redeemed, holy, and righteous child of God. This balance of humility and boldness fueled his mission to preach the gospel even in the face of persecution. Paul showed that true humility isn't thinking less of yourself, but thinking more of God. I feel as Paul was speaking to me directly today, reminding me that following Jesus often brings criticism and persecution. People spoke against him, questioned his authority, and sought to kill him. This wasn't because of his past, but solely because he preached the gospel of grace, perfection boldly. Now, of course, we're not on the same level of Paul, but as Christians today, we also face rejection and slander for proclaiming the truth of salvation by grace through faith alone. Works cannot get into heaven because we became so focused solely on Jesus, we get ridiculed. But like Paul, I was able to find strength in humility. I thought about Paul's life deeply today. The sadness he must have felt going through persecution, having his own disciples question him. When he was persecuting Christians, nobody had nothing to say except words of encouragement. Yet, as he changed his heart to preach this precious gospel, he is called a false prophet, cult leader, and fake apostle. I really thought about how Paul didn't have any titles. He wasn't a pastor, elder, rabbi, or even part of the original 12 disciples. Yet he boldly preached and did so much more than all the disciples combined. He essentially preached the gospel to the whole known world in his time. That is very amazing. I just want to say, guys, we do not need to have a title to have a testimony. And like always, guys, I love you guys. And Jesus loves you more. And by the way, guys, Paul is very goated. Bye.